Pat, I don't know if you saw this Kevin Seifert feature on Brian Flores, but he has essentially invented a new NFL defense.
Yes, Kevin, I did read most of it, and Kevin, Kevin, I've always said is the best beat reporter I ever worked with in my life, and that's 50 some years. And because he's got ideas, he's a tremendous work ethic, very smart guy. And Judd can tell you that after we used to cover games together and we were going to the airport, he would get completely sullen and not talk to anybody and not want to have stop and get anything to eat because he was fretting so much that he might have missed something in his game story or in his coverage. He was like, he'd turn into this completely different person that just was depressed, even though he just, when he got home, he said, what was he so depressed about? It's all great, But it was, but anyway, that was a Seifert special right there, breaking it down and getting Flores to talk to him, and yeah, it is. They've had a hard time trying to explain it on TV, don't you think? The various guys that have been analyzing it. A couple weeks ago, somebody did a pretty good job on it. I thought. I can't remember which game it was. Not that babbling idiot Greg Olson, but somebody else did it. But
Wow. Oh, you're out on Greg Olson. Wow.
I wish that guy'd take a Valium before he went on the air, or smoke a couple of joints or something.
He's their number one guy.
He's
their number one guy.
I know. Give me a break. We don't have to analyze every twitch, for God's sakes. Give us a break, a little quiet. Never hurt anybody. But anyway, yeah, it was interesting. It was a Romo, maybe? I don't know. Could have been a Romo about 3 weeks ago talking about how they're doing different stuff. And Romo's, he can go crazy too. And I don't think he works as hard as he used to, but he knows what he's seeing. He's, was a great quarterback, and he knows what he's watching, and he can tell you there's something different going on out here. And I think it was him telling us that, did he do the game when they beat San Francisco? I think was he doing?
No, that
game?
was Monday night. That was Aikman. I mean, Aikman's had some good observations the two times.
Yeah, might have been Aikman. I don't know, but you know what? Yeah, it was. This is a guy's an interesting guy, and I think basically it doesn't hurt him he wants to be a coach next year, a head coach, and it doesn't hurt him to, not be, he's the guy that's suing the NFL. Instead, he's the guy that invented a defense to take the Vikings from one of the worst defensive teams in the league to, top 10, top 8, whatever they are. So,
yeah, isn't that like pretty much the top quality you would want in, other than just like, keeping a locker room enthused, yeah. But can you, instead of this is my system, we're going to run my kick-ass system. It's like, no, I'm going to survey the landscape of players and I will mold something that fits what they're good at, right?
And I think that way too many times, I think the Vikings were smart to hire O'Connell in the sense that he's your offensive guy. You want him to get the most out of your offense. And there's evidence that, he's not perfect. He's had some, he wasn't too good last week, but, he's been a great improvement now. And didn't they really go hire him for the same reason? To make their defense better, Judd? Was it that why they got him? And then for 3 years, it looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't have the players. He didn't have a quarterback, but he, their defense definitely stepped up once he got here. So, yeah, I think it's a great asset and a coach that have him be smarter in wanting. They're not going in the modern NFL. They're not going to be smarter than guys on both sides of the ball, but to be smarter than everybody else in one area is a dang good quality, don't you think? I don't know.
Speaking of that, did you guys see the one we let get away last night? That's right, Jake Browning. Jake Browning was unbelievable. This guy, do you know his greatest accomplishment as a Viking was during COVID when everyone was in quarantine and he was the only guy throwing passes for a whole practice? Arm damn near fell off.
Yes. And we never he never hit the field for us, did he? Did he must have played an exhibition game.
Yeah.
He played preseason games, yeah.
Yeah.
But those extra reps on that night, it was a night practice, right? Those extra reps got him ready for that Monday night game last night.
Which he hadn't played since, right? He didn't play until Burrow got hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we got to face him 2 weeks now. We're down there a week from Saturday in Cincinnati. That game got flexed to a rotten time, right? Didn't they? Wasn't that game supposed to be on Sunday? Oh no, it
was a TBD game for 8 months.
I didn't realize they were doing that now. That they late in the season they're saying we're not going to tell you fans when if you're driving in from 150 miles away, we're not going to tell you when the game is until we decide what TV wants to do. So, but yeah, it's. I don't know anything about the kid except they really liked him out at Washington, right?
Washington, he started a bunch of games at Washington, and he was I mean he wasn't like he wasn't drafted, was he? I think he was like
he was undrafted. But he finished like 6th in Heisman voting one year.
He was expected to be drafted and then wasn't, so they must not have liked him when they went to the Washington Pro Day or something. I don't know, but he was okay. He was okay last night, and they end up. That's a bad loss for Jacksonville. Well, I guess it's really a bad loss when you get beat and lose your quarterback, which is, hey, man. I got this on my mind today. What can the NFL do to stop having so many quarterbacks hurt? How about this? Don't play football. That's the, we already are protecting these guys to incredible amounts of time. And 2 of these have been Achilles, right? Cousins and another one taking a bad step. How are you going to prevent somebody from taking a bad step and popping an Achilles? It's football. Yeah. It's the most brutal game man has ever invented, except gladiators or whatever, ever since Russell Crowe and the guy were fighting to the death. This is the most brutal game ever. And you now got them playing 17 games, and a guy a quarterback who's on Browning got hurt. He got hit the first week. He got hit like 9-10 times. Didn't he get sacked 9 times or something? And not Browning. I mean,
Burrow.
And, he got the hell beat out of him, and now he's gone, and Jake Browning's played. But it just proves you got to have a second quarterback, but you can't afford to have one. So it's
well, but even I guess in terms of the way that the rules are set up now, some of these second, third, the fact that Browning can come in or Dobbs can come in for a couple weeks and throw for a bunch of yards and put up 30 points, the backup quarterback play we're seeing is actually Tommy DeVito a couple weeks ago had 300 yards passing in a game,
Yeah, but it's everybody's talking about, have we ever had this many quarterbacks hurt? Yes, we probably have. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look, but I don't even know where I'd look. But
go look at the 80s probably is where you'd start, right?
It's it's football. You're going to get hurt. This game is, as I've been saying, 3 straight primetime games that I watched parts of anyway. They told me that the hospital was reporting that the guy had movement in all of his limbs when they took him away by ambulance. It's football, He's going to be able to walk. Hooray! No, that's the way the game is. That's why we love it, I guess, because it's so violent. But you got faster guys, not necessarily bigger, but the fact is they used to weigh 280, but they were 2 steps slower. Now a linebacker might weigh 235, but he's coming 100 miles an hour when he smacks into you. So it's
with no body fat too.
Yeah,
that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Daniil Hunter would kill any 4 of us if he accidentally bumped into us.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he's an absolute rock. They all are, and it's now they can't have them at the facility year round, but these guys all get their own trainer back home and wherever the hell they are, and they go every morning and work out. And the guy says, "Hey, you're up to 237. You're supposed to be 235. Okay, I'll lift more." So it's it's a violent, vicious game, and quarterbacks are going to get hurt because they're on the field half the game, and they're passing a third of the game. They're throwing a pass and with a chance to get hit or a run. Now Mahomes, everybody's saying, I looked at that again. It wasn't. He wasn't off the field, so that shouldn't have been a roughing penalty.
Correct.
But the guy damn near killed him. Yeah. I mean, no matter whether it was a roughing penalty or not, it looked like the guy had mugged him in an alley. Mahomes is running as fast as he can to try to get to the stick, and this guy's coming up the field and blows him up. So I think that might have been a bad call, but the worst call was I looked at it again. That pass interference was unbelievable.
That was really bad. Yeah.
Or Marquez. Then they might have saved Marquez from a bad drop too. So
Sure,
that
probably in retrospect, it was probably broke even for him. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, it's I don't think we'll get any information on who the Vikings starting quarterback is until about Saturday. Do you think?
Are they going to do that, or do you think on Wednesday Kevin O'Connell comes out and says Josh Dobbs, or do you think they'll play it? Do you think they'll play it up to close to game time?
I bet they haven't made up their mind. I wonder if they made up their mind. What do you think?
I would think they have to enter Wednesday with somebody taking all the reps, right?
Yes.
I heard rumblings they're going to announce it on Wednesday.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, if it's gonna be Mullins, you might as well break the news Wednesday, right? You might as well
give people to mentally process it for a few days.
You might let Josh Josh will give you a couple of good quotes. He's appreciated the opportunity and he'll be ready and all that good stuff. So that guy's smart. So
don't you think that after that was a terrible game that he played last week, but
yes,
don't you think that after sitting on it for a week, Jefferson's coming back, that they say, all right, let's give him one more game with Justin Jefferson?
I think you're making a good point. I think 60%, but I don't know. The other theory I hear from some of the guys who are more wired in out there, like Lieber and those guys, is if Mullins was your backup before he got hurt and your core starter got hurt, Mullins should be your, so I don't know if they're grabbing that out of thin air or they're being tipped off that that's the way they're going to go. I don't know. You know that Kevin O'Connell didn't spend the week in Hawaii with the wife or something, that he was out there.
I hope not.
Contemplating this all last week. So
yep.
Kirk Cousins spent the week in some remote location in the Bahamas. He crawled into the ocean just to be able to get in the ocean.
Was that before he did his half-hour interview with the fanatical right-wing anti-gay church that he?
Boy, I put that one on a tee for you, didn't I?
And now it's time. And now it's time for a break.
Yes. Wow, what a beauty. Anyway, I don't think people think that there's a possibility he's coming back here next year and he's saying, I want to. I don't think there is. Do you? I don't think unless he's going to take $22 million.
I think it all depends on his price.
Yeah.
I think it's the price point. I really do.
I mean, if he takes low 20s, yeah, probably. But if he wants 35 again or whatever.
The question now, Pat, is this. Danielle Hunter has played so well. Yes. I don't see how you don't do your damnedest to sign him. 6 months ago, I would have said he can walk as well. But like if I have to choose, Hunter's been unbelievable.
He is. Now it's kind of a combo thing, so it's not straight lineman, but this franchise's best position ever has probably been wide receiver, but the second has been defensive line, right? I mean, we've had unbelievable number of legends. This guy's one of them. When he's playing like this, he's unbelievable because he's, it used to be I'm going to sack the quarterback, right? Now he's making plays all over the place. He's making more plays than he's ever made. And I think Flores has probably came in and said, I got this weapon. I'm going to use it. You know, I'm not going to just have him, you know, chase a guy down the field, try to cover him like we did last year a few times. And poor Ed. Where'd Ed Donatel end up?
Is he consulting somewhere?
Couch, I think. Team Couch.
Let's look it up here.
Team Couch and chips, Pat, and salsa too as well.
Somebody will give him a job as a consultant. Won't they?
He's got to be. I mean, according to Wikipedia, he does not have a job right now.
I don't think you have a job. Like you got to bring something to the table to consult.
Oh man, I don't mean to rip on the whole family, but his son is the defensive passing game coordinator for the Chargers too. That is.
Oh really?
And he was here last year.
They won a game 6-0 last weekend, right?
That is true. They did put the clamps on Bill Belichick's offense.
Was it a big thunderstorm or something? What the hell was going on?
No, the
Patriots do have a good defense. I mean, their defense is good, but yeah, they also.
Is Belichick going to go away quietly? If Kraft doesn't have the guts, people are thinking Kraft's going to fire him. They can't fire him, for goodness sake.
You can't bring him back. He can't be their coach next year, though,
no,
right?
No. I mean, I don't think for his own mental health he can be their coach next year. And you know, they're not anywhere. They're going to get one of the 3 quarterbacks, right? One of the 3 or 4 quarterbacks, because they're going to be top 5 in the draft. They've only won 2. You know, their problem is with him, their defense is still good enough that they have a chance to win another game or 2. So they should maybe tell him to relax here. Our goal is to finish 2-15 here.
But it should be to his benefit too, right? Because he currently runs the front office. So wouldn't he?
His personnel decisions have been horrible. I think that's been worse than his coaching. His personnel decisions have been the thing that's been killing the Patriots, not necessarily his coaching.
Find that guy that only he worked out, or that he came down and had the private workout with, and they found all those guys, and they aren't finding them anymore. So,
yeah. When's the last time they had like an actual threat of a wide receiver? I mean, even since Gronk was, you know, in his prime as a tight end. I mean,
but the thing about him is, when the dynasty started, they didn't need him. Troy Brown, hey, he's a defensive back. Let's make him one of our ace receivers, and we'll let him play defense too. I remember him winning a game in Pittsburgh I was at, and the wide receivers couldn't have started for the Gophers, you know, and they ended up, you know, Brady was so good and he was so good, and they just knew what they wanted to do, and they never really had to pay the big money to the wide receivers, you know. So anyway.
Yeah.
I feel like we say this once a month too, but the Thursday night football game this week has a chance to be legendarily bad. So it's Patriots and Steelers, and Pickett is injured. So it's Mitch Trubisky versus Bailey Zappi, and the over/under in this game is 30.5. It's
really?
it's one of the lower unders you'll see.
Involved, huh?
No,
that's hilarious.
Bring in the punter from the Hawkeyes. He can punt for both teams. It'll be great television.
So, fellas, I'm contemplating something for the middle of this week. Where I know where Judd stands on this. Where, Phil, compared to 10 years ago, is your interest in college basketball not just based on the Gophers being bad, as a generality?
My only interest in college basketball 10 years ago was to prep for the Richard Pitino radio show that I hosted.
Okay. All right.
So it was low 10 years ago. I haven't watched, unless I'm like walking through an airport and it's on the TV at the bar as I'm passing by gate 5, C5. I watch zero college basketball.
Yeah, well, last year's Final Four, God love it. I'd love to see Brian Dutcher go. Nice guy. Jim can go down there and watch him. That final, you got a 5th place team in the Big East that sails through the competition. I don't know if anybody got drafted. It's it just occurred to me about a week ago I can't stand watching this stuff because and then I get all the morons saying, I'd rather watch this than the no defense NBA. Guess what? It's easy to look like you're good defensively when they can't make shots.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, they're not playing clamps defense in the Pac-12.
No,
like, what are you talking about?
No, it had nothing in my long sticking has faded from my. I mean, college basketball in the 70s and 80s, Barrero and I were teammates, right? He went to the Super Bowl. I went to the World Series, but we used to fight over who went to the Final Four. Now I wouldn't care.
Here's the other crazy thing, Pat. Like in terms of just the college basketball's relevance as a feeder system. Yes. So last year's NBA draft, the top 7 picks, which are basically like the 7 most relevant players, and then maybe there's 5 others at some point, right?
How many Europeans?
they went to school. Victor Wembanyama played for the French professional team, the Metropolitans. Brandon Miller was from Alabama. Then you had G League Ignite. You had, let's see here, Overtime Elite.
Yes.
Anthony Black was from Arkansas, and then you had another from the French professional league. So of the top 7 picks, only 2 of them were from college.
Well, the best players in the league are Jokic and Giannis, and we never saw them on a college basketball court here. The last several MVPs. It's true. I mean, because it used to be so great, and now it's who cares? Nobody. Okay, you get Jalen. If we would have only gotten Jalen Suggs, then we could have had him for 1 year. What?
Yeah, that's true.
The difference isn't big.
What's crazy too? It's becoming, how for years and years we've kind of made fun of like the baseball draft is held, on MLB Network, and they try to make it a thing, but it's like no one's ever heard of the players.
Yes.
The NBA draft is much more in terms of just like how many of these players are household mainstream names. It's much closer to that now than where it was 30 years ago.
Well, yeah, nobody. You never see a super team anymore because, Gonzaga was 31-0, but because they're not going to stay, they're going to be gone in 2 years minimum, and usually 1. So it's not just the fact that the Gophers aren't real good right now. It's the fact that college basketball, big time college. You know how many teams there are? 361.
That's hilarious.
What were there, Pat?
361.
What were, like in 85? What's your estimation?
180, 190, something like that. But, they were all schools you heard of now. 300. In other words, if you're one of the big leagues, 80, if you're one of the 80 in the major conferences, counting the Big East, you have 280 mutts that you can bring in and pay money to tell your fans to come and watch them. And who cares? That Ohio State game, if anybody watched it, there was no noise in that building. And it used to be wild in there. They went 5-15 last year. So
boy, I'm at the bottom of the RPI rankings right now, and it is a mess of directional schools, man. Coastal Carolina, Eastern Kentucky, Charleston Southern, Coppin State, Central Arkansas.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's, but hey, we got Nebraska coming in for the home Big Ten opener Wednesday, and I watched a little of them over the weekend, and they stink. So,
Hoiberg, right?
Yeah, Hoiberg. And there's no excuse for losing this Big Ten home opener to Nebraska. You're going to have to go out there and really play rotten to lose to them.
Gophers are capable of that, though, Pat. Gophers are very capable of playing.
Yes, they are. All right, Pat, we got to run to a scoop session with our guy Doogie here, but we will catch you again later this week.
All right, gentlemen. See you.
All right, there he is. Reusse Unchained here, presented by our friends at Summit Orthopedics. If you're dealing with some pain, maybe you sprained your ankle playing football last night and you need some help. Maybe you're dealing with some back pain. No referrals are needed at Summit Orthopedics. They offer same-day appointments. If you're really hurting, they also offer walk-in orthopedic urgent care 7 days a week starting at 8 a.m. 25 locations in the Twin Cities and greater Minnesota. Learn more at summitortho.com.